Hi, kindergarten. Good morning. Welcome to our first virtual read aloud. Are you guys ready for this? I hope so. For this first one, you're going to need your note catcher and a sharpened pencil. Make sure you're ready to write. Make sure you're ready to learn, okay? So I know it's a little bit harder on a video than in real life, but let's just do our best, okay? Our first read aloud is called What's the Weather Like? Okay, and over the next few days, you're going to be learning about our 4 seasons and weather. Okay, now the 4 seasons are winter, spring, summer, and fall. And I would like you to try to remember those in that order. Winter, spring, summer, fall. Okay, you're going to see that our first read aloud today is going to teach you a little bit about all the seasons, and then after today, we'll dive a little deeper into each of the seasons. Okay, and for this domain, we have a pen pal. Her name is Annie, and she's going to be writing you letters that will help you learn about the 4 seasons. She's our pen pal. And she lives in a different place. She lives in Washington, D.C. And so you need to understand that in different places around the world, the weather is not always the same. So where Annie lives in Washington, D.C., who knows, it could be raining while it's sunny here. Or while it's snowing there, it could just be a cloudy day here. Weather around the world is different at different times. Okay. Another example that you all might understand is I know that some of you have been to Mexico. You've seen that in Mexico it's always really hot. Okay. Does it ever snow in Mexico? No, right? So just understand that around the world the weather might be different. Okay. That'll help us get through this read aloud. This one's called What's the Weather Like? So let's get started. Dear kindergartners, hello, my name is Annie, and I live in a big city called Washington, D.C. I'm in 5th grade, but I remember when I was in kindergarten just like you. Right now in school, my class is learning about seasons and weather. For my school project, I'm going to be your weather pen pal. I'm going to teach you what the weather is like where I live. I will also tell you about the weather in different areas or places on Earth. You can help me with my project by answering all my questions so I can learn about what the seasons and weather are like where you live. So your first question is, where does Annie live? Okay, this is not a question you have to write down. Normally, if we were in class right now, I might say, just raise your hand and tell me, where does Annie live? Or I might say, talk to your partner, where does Annie live? We can't do that right now. But you can think of your answer in your head. You can shout it out loud. Maybe if mom or dad's around, you could tell them the answer real quick. First question is, where does Annie live? Okay, and if you accidentally forgot, that's okay. You can just rewind the video a little bit and see if you can figure out the answer that way. Okay? There are many different kinds of weather. There is sunny weather, cloudy weather, windy weather, rainy weather, and stormy weather. What is the weather like outside today where you live? Well, I'm looking out the window at my house and it looks like we've got a sunny day today. So that's awesome. My teacher says that no matter where you live on Earth, the weather is always changing, hour by hour and day by day. But even though the weather changes, there are still weather patterns during certain times of the year. For example, the weather pattern in the summer is mostly sunny and warm. Weather patterns may change a lot in some places and very little in other places. It all depends on where you live on Earth. This is a map of the Earth. I've colored 2 areas of the map blue, up at the top right here and down here at the bottom. One is the North Pole and one is the South Pole. Even though the North and South Poles are at opposite ends of the Earth from each other, they share the same weather patterns. The weather pattern at the North and South Poles is always cold and the land is usually covered with ice. Okay, so this is where we're going to take a pause and you're going to write your answer down in your note catcher. Okay, the first question says, which areas on the map are always cold? There are 2 areas that are always cold. Okay, you can write your answer in a complete sentence by saying, the areas that are always cold are, or you could say, this area and this area are always cold. Make sure you start with an uppercase letter. Make sure you end with a period. If you forgot the answer, rewind the video and see if you can figure it out. Okay, also parents, remember if you weren't able to get this paper, if you weren't able to print it or pick it up at school, then have your child write their answer down on a notebook. Okay, this is also we get some practice with our writing. Make sure you're stretching out your words on your own. If it's a sight word that you would usually see on the word wall, then that one's okay to ask mom and dad how to spell that one. Okay, and if you need to pause the video for a second, you can do that too. All right, but I'll keep going. This is the South Pole, which is located on the continent of Antarctica. It is one of the coldest places on Earth. The ground is covered by ice all year long, though it almost never rains or snows here. The wind can be strong and the temperature can be freezing cold. I colored the middle area of this map red. Here's this part right here. The weather pattern in this area is usually very warm all year long. The biggest change in the weather during different times of the year is the amount of rain. Okay, so the next question is, which area on the map is usually warm? It's not on your note catcher, but you can talk to someone in your house or you can say it out loud. Which part of the map is usually warm? Okay, we've got our cold sections and our warm sections. Which section is warm? During certain months in the rainforest, the day may start off warm and sunny, but by afternoon it may rain very, very hard. This weather pattern may occur almost every day. This area gets lots of rain and sun almost all year round. The rain and sun keep the plants and trees green and healthy. Do you see the part of this map that is colored green? It's this part right here. This is most of the United States, or the country that we live in. Most of the United States is on the continent of North America, although the state of Hawaii is made up of islands located in the Pacific Ocean. In most of the United States, it's not always cold, like at the North and South Poles, and it's not always hot, like at the middle section of the Earth. The weather in most of the United States changes with every season, so we get cold weather, hot weather, and everything in between. Okay, so we're located right here, which means we get to have all of the seasons. Okay, the people right here, they're mostly always hot. Okay, and Mexico is more down here, so you can see that that's in the hot section. And then these places are always cold. Okay, pretty cool, right? There are 4 seasons in a year: winter, spring, summer, and autumn. Each season has different weather, so the weather in the United States changes depending on where you live and which season it is. Plants, trees, grass, and flowers change in different seasons. You will also see different kinds of animals in different seasons. Okay, let's start with the first season. It's winter. This image shows the season called winter. Winter is the coldest season. In some places, snow and ice cover the ground during winter time. Other places that do not have snow and ice are still colder in winter than in other seasons. Some animals, like bears, sleep during the winter season. Okay, winter is actually the season that we just finished, and spring has just started. Okay, so let's see what spring's all about. Eventually, winter ends and spring begins. In spring, the sun shines a little longer and warmer each day, which melts the ice and snow. In spring, new leaves appear on the trees, new plants grow up from the warming earth, and flowers bloom again. Many baby animals are born during the spring, too. Okay, so that's our pause for our next question on our note catcher. This one right here. It says, what are some of the characteristics or ways to describe spring? So think about what you know about spring, what you just heard about spring. Those are the characteristics. Okay, so think about what happens during spring. Okay, and you can say some characteristics of spring are, okay, or you could say in the spring and then tell what happens in the spring. Start with an uppercase letter and end with a period. Stretch out those words, leave your spaces, make sure you're writing nice and neat so that we're able to read it. Sorry, that was my dog. He sneezed. Okay. You can pause the video if you need to, and we'll keep going. After spring comes summer. Summer is the hottest season of the year in the United States. Summer is the season in which all the plants are at their greenest, full of leaves, flowers, and fruit. Birds, bugs, and other animals are easiest to spot in the summer. Finally, after summer comes autumn. Autumn is also called fall. In most places in the United States, the leaves change colors and fall off certain types of trees in autumn. The air outside gets cooler and the sun shines a little less each day. Autumn is when farmers harvest their fruits and vegetables, birds fly south, and everyone gets ready for winter. Okay, that's your last question here on your note catcher. It says, what are some characteristics or ways to describe autumn? So again, write a complete sentence. Say, in the autumn, and then tell what happens in autumn. Remember, another name for autumn is fall. Okay, pause the video if you need to. Last page of our read aloud. Let's say the seasons together. Ready? Winter, spring, summer, autumn. Do you know what season it is right now where you live? Well, I just told you, it's spring. Each season has its own special characteristics. For example, a characteristic of summer is hot weather, and a characteristic of winter is snow. The seasons are different depending on where you live. Not all places get snow in the winter, and not all places are steaming hot in the summer. But one thing is for sure, no matter where you live, the seasons always change in the same order year after year. When something happens over and over again in the same order, it's called a cycle, okay? So the first season is winter, then we go to spring, then we go to summer, then fall, and then it starts all over again. Then it goes back to winter, then spring, then summer, then fall, winter, spring, summer, fall, winter, spring, summer, fall. This is called a cycle because it's happening over and over and over again in the same order. Remember Annie's talking. She says, I'll be talking about my hometown, Washington, D.C. a lot in my letters, but the characteristics of the 4 seasons where you live might be a little different. It will be fun to see if your weather is different than mine. I'll say goodbye for now, but I will write again soon. Until then, I hope you are enjoying beautiful weather where you live. Your friend, Annie. Okay, so that is the end of our first read aloud, but there are a couple more questions for me to ask you. Remember, these are questions that you would just talk about with a partner. At home, you can say them out loud. We don't need to write these answers down. Okay, so the next question says, when something happens over and over again, it is called a cycle. Name the 4 seasons in the order in which they occur most in the United States. Okay, see if you can remember the 4 seasons. Say them out loud. Use your fingers to help you. Okay, now it says, which season is the coldest? Who remembers which season is the coldest and which season is the hottest? Okay, I hope you remember the answers to some of those questions. If you didn't, that's okay. You should just rewind the video and try to figure it out. Help you remember. Okay? All right, so that is the end of that read aloud. I also posted a video. It's a Jack Hartman video. It's called The Season Song. It's a video to help the kids remember the 4 seasons. Okay? Your journal prompt will also go along with this today. And I think that's it. I hope you all are having a good day. Bye!